Okay, what is our intro?
Oh
What does it
no,
do?
Taylor, you're falling apart. Oh, let's see here. You've probably written it out somewhere.
Headed in by Convenient, coming up from behind. Ball for Haran! Portland ahead by 2. A diving header and a beautiful goal! Nagasato! 2-0!
You're listening to the Her Football Hub podcast, covering the world of women's football.
Welcome back to the Her Football Hub Stateside podcast. It is I, Taylor, and my colleague, Kara.
What's up?
Yo. This week and last week, the clubs have started individual training, so players are designated to a particular area to practice in. Temps are being taken down before entering into the practice facilities.
Yeah, so some clubs are having their players like park in specific locations, and they're like having them walk, like so they're not like around each other.
Oh, okay.
So, because that's what your club's doing, Orlando Pride.
Yeah, they have to do the walk of shame to practice.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's kind of like very heroic looking, like a Western. They must walk.
Well, especially with like their mask on, because sometimes I've seen them that doesn't have like the full mask, like it's this weird like
a bandana.
Yeah, that's it, bandana. So it makes them look like a robber or like something else. Like, so it could be your Western. Like, seriously.
Yeah, they got their bandana mask covering their face, and they walk in to practice with their duffel bag.
That's right.
Ready to take down the sheriff.
That's right. Give me all your money. Breaking this thing down.
Show them who's boss.
That's right. So I've seen a lot of that happening.
But there's no coaches present, just the players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had watched yesterday the interview they did with Amy Rodriguez, and she was saying that there's no coaches at all. But then I've also seen like articles saying like it's a very limited coaching staff. So I think it just is based on where they're located. But yeah, there's really like hardly anybody on the premises staff related.
Yeah, and that makes sense too. I know that some of the athletic coaches have been creating their instructions and sending them to players, so they have to just do it on their own time in their own places. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
probably just an extension of that now.
Yeah, exactly. And then like there's hardly any equipment that they don't touch anything. Like there's not much out. Like there's some dummies and cones and
it's BYOB.
Yeah,
bring your own ball.
Exactly. Yeah, bring your own ball, your own water and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty scarce to be honest.
But that's good. At least they're getting out there and doing some sort of training under the sun.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And I had seen that some of them were doing a couple of people, like maybe 2 or maybe 3 players, depending on the drill. But a lot of them were like, if it was individualized training, like they would have those cones out and they would be working on that. But if it was more of like a shooting drill, that's when they would use those players, or like the long crosses, I guess you can say. That's when they'd have those multiple players in a group together. But nobody was really intersecting their spaces. So it was still like 6 feet apart, like still adhering to all the guidelines.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting because the athletes themselves, I think, are really good kind of front runners of kind of getting back to normal life. And since they are health gurus themselves, they're kind of the best people to look up to during this time.
Right, yeah. So definitely adhering to everything that they're supposed to be doing, because we all want it to come back. But I think everybody's just happy based on social media and different interviews I've seen lately, that they're just like, I'm just so glad I'm out on the pitch. Like, it doesn't really matter. I can kind of see my teammates, but they're all just like, praise the Lord, I can kind of at least be one step closer.
Yeah, there's a sliver of normalcy restored. In other news too, then we also have the Chicago Red Stars. At least they announced their new kit.
Yeah, they dropped that. I think it was the end of April, and it has the skyline, I think at the bottom. Is that it? The bottom of their kit?
Yeah, I think it kind of flows with the bottom color and maybe closer to the middle of the shirt.
Yeah, it looks super cool. And I think they had like the different names of like those cities or neighborhoods in their kit as well. I think I had seen that. I don't think I dreamed that, but yeah, it's super sick. Like, I think that's awesome that they had done that, because it definitely attributes back to the community that is helping that, football team.
Now, like, they're on their own at that stadium, so they're trying to unify the neighborhoods of Chicago.
Yeah, so it's totally cool. If you haven't checked out that kit, definitely look at it because it's super cool because that one is out. And then I keep seeing on social media, Portland Thorns, they're going to be releasing something.
Yeah, so that one should be coming out soon as well.
And then last night, on Monday nights, the NWSL on Twitch, they do NWSL at Home edition with Marissa Pillar. She was talking with Amy Rodriguez, and she had asked about the Royals kit if she had seen it. And she's like, oh, yeah, like it's so good. Like it's so awesome. And then she had said there was apparently some pictures that had been leaked. So I was like, are you sure about that? And so I looked up after that interview. I had looked online, and there was just the back, and I think it was their away jersey, and it had like the royal like crown that they have like on their logo, and then under it said I think it was like royal title or something. So it did look kind of cool, the back of it, and then you can kind of see from the sides it still has that the navy and the white and yellow stripes that they had from last season. So I'm assuming based on that information that probably be coming out soon as well. So we got a lot of new cool kits coming.
Yeah, that's good. I like to see new kits and keep it more fresh.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if any other teams are going to be releasing any new kits this year, if not all of them, because at least in MLS, when one team releases a new away jersey, then they all do. It's like they're all on the same contract for the year with the jersey provider. But remember, the best way to support your club is by checking out their online stores. And there's always sales going on, especially during this coronavirus season. So make sure you grab your deal, grab your gear.
Grab your gear, get that deal.
There you go. And moving on, we'll actually kind of dissect what we believe the NWSL awards will be like this year. Whether the season is as normal as we think it would be, but we're still going to go through the Golden Boot, Golden Glove, top teams, MVP, and rookie.
Yep. I don't know how true this actually will be, but we'll go ahead and just pull the names out of the hats, Taylor.
Yes. Let me get my hat.
The melted one. Grab that melted hat. Okay, so who you got for Golden Boot?
I'm going with Lynn Williams.
That's a good shout.
She was second in last year's Golden Boot race anyways. And so Sam Kerr is no longer with us. She's still alive, but she's not in the league. And so I think Lynn Williams, it's hers to grab now.
That's honestly a good shout. I'm going to stick with the same team as well, but I'm going to go with Kristen Hamilton. She has been phenomenal last season. She had 9 goals scored. So yeah, I think she's going to be doing awesome. So who knows? We might actually have both of these players on at the same time, Taylor. So that might be a competition.
Yeah, and really it is fun between themselves because I think either one of them will have more goals than the other, but the other one will then have the assists to like go with that. So they complement each other.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, the pairing in general is kind of cool to think about. But yeah, totally. I think both of them are good shouts. And especially with Sam Kerr gone, the window pretty much is open for those strikers that we've named to definitely take hold of that.
And if the Courage continue their form from last year, then I'm sure it will be one of these two players.
Right, yeah.
In terms of the Golden Glove, what are you thinking there?
I was contemplating quite a bit. I'm a little bit torn between LeBay and Bledsoe because both of them are fantastic goalies. They had a lot of clean sheets for their teams, but I honestly think it'll probably be Bledsoe that'll hold it down and get that Golden Glove.
Yeah, I agree with Bledsoe as well. You never know, though, because like we were talking about the past podcast episode, the Washington Spirit has changed up a bit. So with these teams changing, the defensive lines changing, that might either allow or disallow more opportunities for goals to be scored against even the top-notch goalies. So who knows?
Yeah, you definitely can never tell, especially right now since all this has transpired. It's hard to kind of say who will definitely be it. But yeah, I was thinking back to when she was in the W League, the last game that I had actually got to see She was on form, and even just in the NWSL, like she was amazing. I think she won it, and then also made like the starting 11 of the season as well. So like, I
Hmm.
still think even though that backline might be interesting for the Spirit, you do pose a good question, but I think she'll still do really, really well.
Yeah, and she is just an all around great goalkeeper. So no matter who's in front of her, she's still going to do a great job.
All right, top teams, man. This table, what are we gonna do with it? You wanted to shake it up. How much have you shaken? Shaken? That's not even a word.
Shooken.
How are you shook by that table yet?
I am shooketh.
Yes.
Not really, actually, because it's pretty generic. I got North Carolina Courage up there, Portland Thorns, Utah Royals, and probably the most shake worthy team, if that's even a term,
I like it.
is the Orlando Pride.
They're gonna cause shakenness in their opponents.
Yes, they'll be shaking in their boots.
Yep, that's better. I like it. No, I agree with you to an extent, though. I'm going to throw a little wrench in there. It's kind of hard because a lot of these teams that we're talking about, like the windows for transfers, is still open. It seems like because we were talking about last time with the Royals possibly signing Buhati and Merjan. That still hasn't been signed. Nothing's been inked yet, so they're not linked to any of these teams. So I still think I'm going to go with North Carolina. Going to do OL Reign, Thorns, and then Utah Royals. That'll make that top four. But Taylor, you're shaking in your boots team. I think Pride and Sky Blue will be interchangeable. So fifth and sixth place, I guess you can say. But yeah, I think those two teams, since they have juggernauts that they've gotten, and it seems like those two teams will be the ones to watch with the different transfers. Yeah, I think they're definitely going to climb up the ladder.
Yeah, and what I was going to say about Pride is that they're the kind of team that if they just find the right formation and the right
Mm-hmm.
combination of players that will just click, then you can see a very dangerous team, and that can be applied to Sky Blue as well.
Yeah, and with the caliber of players that they do have now, that's definitely a possibility. Like that's totally in their grasp.
Yeah, because I mean, both teams already had like a good selection of players, but whether it comes down to coaching or what,
Maybe.
something just needs to click, and then you'll see those top form teams develop out of the mold.
So who do you have to win it all? What you thinking?
I think Utah Royals will actually win it all.
Wow. Why? I'm not upset or anything. I kind of like the Royals, so it's like, oh, okay, cool. But I'm just kind of surprised.
I don't know. There's just something about them that I think they have the right balance. But then again, yeah, things have changed during the off season, so who knows? But
Mm-hmm.
there's just something there that I think they have the kind of the tenacity to. You kind of saw it during the middle of last season,
Mm-hmm.
and I think if we can see that more consistently, then they are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and especially with Craig coming in as a new coach, I think that'll definitely revitalize a lot of the youthfulness I think we had talked about in the last pod as well, like to narrow that down. So yeah, I mean it's a good shout. I like the Royals, so I think that'd be cool. But I'm gonna go with my other team that I like. We're gonna do a three-peat, baby. It's gonna be the Courage. Courage is gonna win it all.
I respect them. I respect that team, but I would like to see someone else win it.
I agree. Yes, I agree. But they didn't really lose too many players at all. Everybody has pretty much stayed the same, and you can't go wrong with Riley as a coach. I think he has a fantastic framework and coaching style. So, and it apparently has been working a whole lot. So,
Right.
I think they'll definitely, if not win it all, they'll be in the semis. Definitely.
What they do works, and they just stick to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been working for 3+ years.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
That's my mantra. Anyway.
So in that, what do you think would be? Who do you think would be coming out as the MVP of the season?
This was probably the only category I was like, oh, I don't want to decide. I'm struggling. There's too many amazing players all across the board, and I'm like, I don't have a clue. So I'm going to kind of go with my gut a little bit. but I'm going to say Kristen Press just because, man, she's been clicking on fire. It's just been amazing to watch her and develop, and especially what Laura Harvey had done. Like, I think since she had joined the Royals, she has come alive, and Press has found her niche. She's found how to execute on those sides and just pick apart the defense. And yeah, I think she'll be the MVP this year.
Yeah, it's a good pick, and it goes along with my Utah Royals to win it all sort of thing. So
Yep.
who knows? I mean, if she does click like that, that's how that team will move forward and be kind of that engine.
That's right. They'll be clicking their way up.
Mm-hmm. Clickety clack.
They ain't looking back. Just kidding. Who do you got?
So I kind of go along the same lines of how with Orlando Pride and how they just need to find the right combination of players and they'll click. I think if that does happen, then you will see Marta playing at the top of her level game in and game out. Like usually you'll see her every couple of weeks do like an amazing performance, but usually on those other weeks she just gets bogged down and you don't really see much of her because it's a team sport at the end of the day, and Marta can't save the day every single week. If you actually had this full manufactured team, then I think Marta is your player and she is your MVP.
Yeah, I agree with you. She just plays with such a tenacity that it's like, I don't know. She's one of the legends in my eyes that is in women's soccer. She always, every time she steps on the pitch, like you have to watch her. You know, like if you're defending her and you've got to keep your eyes open because she's going to either create different opportunities or actually score off those opportunities. So yeah, I think that's a good shout too.
And when she's surrounded by the best players, she becomes the GOAT, obviously. Because, like, last year when she was mostly, like, surrounded by rookie players or players that aren't really the most well-known players, she was still shining. Mm-hmm. So if you can get her alongside some of the newcomers that are promising newcomers, then I think, yeah, you'll see Marta at her best.
I agree with that. That's totally, I think, doable. And even with the Pride who they have, the new people coming in, I think that'll definitely give her more of an opportunity to shine. Yeah, and I agree with you wholeheartedly.
And that actually kind of goes off of the final category that we'll discuss today, which is the Rookie of the Year. For my choice, then I have Taylor Korniak from Colorado Boulder. She's a midfielder, and I think she actually comes across very similar to Lindsay Horan, where she is like the glue that keeps the team together and kind of is the driving force from the midfield. And she kind of has that tall stature as well. So she can add a lot of physicality to Orlando, which I think is also another reason why I think surrounding a player like Marta with another midfielder like Taylor, then that's a good choice.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing, that she does have that presence like Horan does in the midfield. So yeah, she could definitely be somebody that could take home this title.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to go with somebody who signed for the Thorns, conveniently, since we were talking about Lindsay Horan. But I picked Sophia Smith. She scored 24 goals at her time during Stanford. And yeah, she is explosive. She scored several game-winning shots during her college years. And I just think, like, up top explosively, it's going to be awesome for her to get this opportunity and learn from some of the best players, honestly, because the Thorns, like, they have legit goats per se. Like, they have a lot of good players that can help the younger players form and just grow. But yeah, I think Sophia Smith would be somebody to keep your eyes open for.
Yeah, I certainly think she is a really good choice too. I sometimes think that forwards, attackers have the most difficult time coming from college into the professional league, but she would be one to keep the eyes on, and she has got a lot of people surrounding her at that team that could be a good influence. So that wraps up our awards for the season. We didn't cover every single one of them, but that's another topic for another time. But there is still other stuff happening here in the world of women's football in America, and that's the U.S. Women's National Team Case. Do you know what's happening there? Because it's kind of confusing to me.
Just a little bit. Essentially, the simplest layman's term version is that this case is not thrown out in its entirety. but they still have claims for like their travel and accommodations requests that's still on the table. But in regards to the equal pay lawsuit, that's out. So they did get denied.
Yeah, so I think it's just another setback in this whole equal pay situation.
Yeah, and I feel like it's always going to be that uphill climb for them, especially on terms of equal pay. But I mean, a lot of it is kind of a shock and a disappointment in that decision, but I'm sure we'll come out on top. They'll be pushing forward. I remember seeing a lot of the players just reposting and just saying, like, we're not going to stop. Like, we're always going to be fighting for this, because they're not doing it for themselves. They're doing it for, girls that are, in grassroots right now, or just anybody in general that is a woman. So, like, they're always going to be striving to do this, even if they are set back like this.
Yeah, and this was never going to be a done and dusted situation. Even if they did pass this at this moment in the most ideal situation, it's always going to be a battle that women across the country, across the world are constantly fighting for.
And I think it was maybe like the day after they had made that decision, Good Morning America, one of the news channels here, they had Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan on that morning, and they were being interviewed by Robin Roberts, and they were kind of talking through a little bit of the confusion around this case and just kind of stating, hey, this is what's happening, and kind of how it all fell apart, because there was a lot of different talks about that they were offered, what the men were, and like all these other random things. It was just kind of like there was no black and white. It was just gray areas. So they were kind of shedding some light on those situations. But June 16th is the next court case date. Like I said, it's not for that equal pay. It's just for the different claims that they had requested that is still on that table.
Much to be still learned from this situation. And I guess we'll look forward to June 16th and see what happens there.
Exactly. But there is some happy news, though, in the women's national team. There is a new baby. So Alex Morgan, she did give birth to her firstborn. It was May 7th. And I guarantee we'll be seeing young Charlie practicing with her mom and dad in the coming years.
They'll see that on Instagram all the time, just like with Sydney Leroux and her little girl.
Exactly.
and
yeah.
boy.
I had seen, I think it was maybe today, it might have been yesterday, that they had her like decked out in Nike gear, little Charlie. And I was like, oh, yep, already going to be a fashion model.
She's already got the sponsorship deal.
Exactly. Who knows? I don't know about that, but yeah, it's always interesting when you do have professional soccer players and they do have a child. Like, would they push their kid into the sport? Like, would it just come natural? Like, I've always wondered about that, but I guess we'll kind of see with these different women's national team players, having children.
Yeah, exactly. And another good news, too, is that on May 11th, the One Goal organization kicked off their latest charitable campaign, which is a raffle of players' jerseys in which money will then be going back into women's football from these giveaways. So head over to the One Goal org on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and then you can learn more about how you can support the game that we all love and cherish.
Exactly. And they're doing fun reveals for the player jerseys, and they're giving out different clues. So definitely keep an eye on their social channels. Maybe you can guess it before everybody else does, or maybe you can just still win it regardless if you knew who it was or not.
I know I'm bad at those puzzles, so...
Well, I'm only good at one.
Lucy Bronze.
And that's just seeing a little bit of a finger, so... I know who it is based on that. So you have until June, I think it was like the beginning of June, to donate and see all the different players and raffle for their jerseys. So yeah, it does go to a good cause. It helps with the World Health Organization as well. So definitely get involved.
So that wraps it up for today. Make sure you all stay safe out there and check out the One Goal organization, charity, fundraiser, raffle, more synonyms, other things.
Check it all out. All socials, look them up, see if you can guess who the players are that they are revealing, where you could win their jersey.
So from Taylor in Wisconsin
and Kara in Tennessee,
we will catch you all
on the Stateside.